This is a Sinar F1. It's a modern 4x5 view camera. It was probably made in the early 1990s. Really, any camera that you can figure out a way of putting a plate into, you could make a tintype with. We're an instant portrait photography studio. We make tintype portraits here on site, and we're also a gallery space and a retail store. We sell mostly lomography and instant film cameras. To me, it seemed like what could be better than having a storefront where people just walk in off the street and you shoot their pictures. I've had days here where I've made 60 portraits. Gallery spaces can be a little cooler and less inviting to people. But most people understand that if it's a retail store, you can just walk in and look around. It's been very gratifying how many people who don't even really know anything about photography, how well they respond to this process, and how quickly it can be done. Usually we can get people through the entire process in about 20 minutes. This is the basic setup for making tintype plates. The material I'm using is actually aluminum. The reason I'm using this is because it has this really nice, glossy black enamel on it. So I'm going to coat this plate. I'm using cadmium bromide and ammonium iodide. Those two halogen salts will combine with the silver nitrate in this tank. And this is the sensitizing tank. After I've coated the plate with the collodion, I will dunk it into here and it will start becoming light sensitive. After a few minutes in this tank, I can take the plate out, load it into a plate holder, which is light tight, and then I can take it out of this room, put it in the back of the camera, make the exposure, come back in here and develop and fix the plate. When I started making tintypes about 5 years ago, what really interested me in the process is the fact that they are unique one-off direct positives. So unlike with regular film photography, there's no negative and no subsequent printing of that image. You create a plate in the darkroom, load that plate into the camera, make the exposure on it, and then process the plate, and that is your one and final finished image. I'm shooting these pretty tight and the depth of field is very, very shallow. My exposure is instantaneous because I'm using flash. It would be really unusual to ever find an old tintype shot this close up. They tended to be 3/4 length or even full length. One of the things that's kind of cool about the tintype process is you can make them with any camera. I've made tintypes with 35mm cameras, I've made them with medium format cameras, I made them with pinhole cameras. At this point the plate just gets developed. I hold the plate in my hand and then pour a small amount of developer over it. You can see it does just look like this dark blue negative. Very quickly it appears to reverse, and there we have a finished positive tintype plate. And then it goes into this case to dry. I don't feel as much of a connection to prints that I make digitally because they don't really have the same value as objects. They are sort of infinitely reproducible. People, I think, right now are really looking for ways to experiment with photography, and we really have seen a lot of interest in film. I think what people seem to be looking for now or a kind of photography where the process itself is going to impart its own flavor to the finished image, a little bit of uncertainty. And that's part of the excitement of it.